Hey y'all, Gary here with Tennessee Stands. Hey, just a quick little legislative update here. Probably the final one. Why? Because today's it. The legislature is probably going to adjourn today. At the very least, if they don't officially adjourn, seems as though all of the business will be concluded today for this session. So thank God for that. First of note, HB 1201 did pass. This bill that we've been very vocal about. The transparency bill, the campaign finance reform bill, did pass today out of conference committee. But here's the thing. I'm glad we made the noise that we made because as now written, the bill has virtually no impact on Tennessee Stands whatever. The problem is it's going to have an impact on larger organizations like the NRA, who has been very vocal against this bill. This has not just been a Tennessee Stands effort. Again, I reiterate to everyone, as much as I've been called out by Republican leadership on being vocal against this bill, Tennessee Right to Life, Tennessee Firearms Association, the Beacon Center, Americans for Prosperity, CPAC, and most notably the NRA has been all over the legislature about this bill, that it's an affront to free speech and the operations of many conservative advocacy organizations like Tennessee Stands. But nonetheless, the amended language does remove the requirement for contributions to be reported, so we're thankful for that. It also allows all communications to happen as without any expenditure reporting, as long as communications are made to our followers, to our subscribers, to our members, to our supporters. So if you've opted in to our email list, if you follow us on Facebook, or if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, we can still do what we do with no reporting of expenditures. So what I don't think they understand is Tennessee Stands in our entire existence for almost 2 years now. I would say cumulatively, I've maybe spent $1,000 on Facebook ads, maybe if that. What they don't understand is that our reach is organic. We don't pay money to reach people. You subscribe to our email list. We put out social media posts. You share our emails. You get vocal. You call your legislators. A lot of times what we say gets put out in the news. We're not paying for any of that. So in actuality, this whole bill, which was meant to, we heard that Tennessee Stands and organizations like Tennessee Stands are getting too much power at the Capitol, which is an interesting statement to hear from some legislators. But the fact is, we're not paying for it. So good riddance to that bill. I'm thankful that language got amended. I still think the bill is unconstitutional because the problem is it's regulating speech, the same speech at different intervals of time as political speech. I'm tired of talking about it, but the bottom line is it's going to have virtually no impact on Tennessee Stands. So kudos to you guys for getting active, being loud, and making some significant changes to this bill. We're thankful for that. Still against the bill, but thankful for that. The governor signed a bill. Now, you guys need to understand this. A bill passed the legislature that allows illegals to get a professional license. Let me say that again. Representative Bruce Griffey has been big on this. He has submitted bills that would have expanded a requirement to use E-Verify, even for small businesses, to make sure that we're not hiring illegals in the state of Tennessee. Those measures have always failed. But what did pass was a measure that allows illegals to actually get a professional license to do business in the state of Tennessee. Not only did that pass the General Assembly, your governor, Governor Bill Lee, there was a big push by conservative organizations to veto that bill. Governor Bill Lee not only allowed the bill to become law, he could have just left it alone and not signed it, but he signed it. He put his name on it. Governor Bill Lee signed a bill, and our legislature passed a bill that allows illegals in the state of Tennessee to get licensed to do business in the state of Tennessee as a professional. Wrap your head around that one for a minute. We passed a bill And folks like Jason Zachary are going all over championing the General Assembly. We did it. We passed a big election integrity effort because now there's a bill that requires all counties and election commissions to utilize machines which will have a paper backup. All right, because I think there's still 61 counties that have no paper whatsoever. But here's the deal. That's not the problem. The problem is not the paper that the machine spits out. The problem is the machine. We want hand-marked paper ballots because the machine is the issue. If you haven't seen this yet, the EAC just released a report on Williamson County elections, here in Williamson County, where we had Dominion machines. Back in October 21, we had a municipal election, and Dominion machines could not even tally 4,000 votes correctly without screwing up. The feds came in, Dominion came in, they looked at the machines and found, guess what? There were anomalies in the machine. They actually were able to replicate the issues. There were problems. And the problem was how the scanners were reading the QR codes on the paper. I want you to understand that the problem with the elections wasn't just the internal workings of the machine. It was also how the paper that the machines were spitting out were being scanned and tabulated. So we passed a law that requires machines to use paper to be scanned, but that was precisely the problem that we found with the Dominion machines in Williamson County. Again, wrap your head around that for a minute. And that's called election integrity in the state of Tennessee. I'm going to continue to push the point. The machines are the problem. Whether or not they have paper backups, the machines are the problem. The software in the machines are the problem. The fact that the machines connect to the internet is the problem. The fact that our elections are now digitized, subject to the computations of algorithms and machines, is the problem. We need hand-marked, secured hand-marked paper ballots in Tennessee. Number 4, the TSSA bill passed. All I'm going to say about the TSSA bill, this is the education funding. We are completely restructuring, reframing, revamping, completely redoing the way that we fund education here in Tennessee, from the old BEP formula to now this TSSA formula, where every student in the state of Tennessee now has an assigned value for how much they cost to educate. Here's what you need to understand what's being set up here. There's a lot of things going around about school choice. A lot of homeschool folks are really concerned about school choice. They don't want federal dollars or state dollars mingled into their education whatsoever. And I get that. I understand that argument. But there's also an argument that we've got to do something to revamp the public education system and how it's funded. So TSSA is a step in that direction. Here's the thing. We don't know what the outcome, it's such a massive reconfiguration of public education funding. We just don't know what the potential unintended consequences of that's going to be. I will say, interestingly, of all the groups that lobbied for TSSA to pass, you can go back and take a look at those groups and trace their funding to Gates Foundation, Soros-related foundations. So there's a lot of progressive left-leaning foundations that were pushing and lobbying for this bill to pass. And when that happens, you have to ask yourself, well, why is that, right? Certainly there's some contracts with, certain amounts of curriculum contracts that are going to be coming into Tennessee and what. There's a bunch of concerns there. So anyway, TSSA passed, and whatever the consequences are, our students are now going to have to pay that price. Lastly, I'll just say this continued debacle over the Titan Stadium, and that we're actually funding, what was it, a $500 million bond. So we committed to a $500 million bond that's going to require a $55 million a year debt service payable by the taxpayers to fund this new $2+ billion stadium in Nashville for the Tennessee Titans. And what else did they pass? Well, a 1 percentage point sales tax hike on hotel sales tax in Davidson County. So it wasn't just like it was even in the budget. We also increased hotel taxes in Davidson County to cover the cost. And the argument by the speaker is, well, that's great because, that's tax dollars that, that we're getting from tourism and other people are paying for our stuff. I don't know that it really always equals out that way in terms of a sales tax hike. I think folks all around Tennessee stay at hotels in Nashville. It's gonna increase the cost for everyone. But nonetheless, that's what we're being sold. So look, tax increases, we're paying for stadiums. We completely reframed how we fund public education at the lobbying and behest of a lot of left-leaning and progressive organizations. We're pretending that now that machines spit out paper that we have completely fixed our elections and there's no problems here in Tennessee. The governor signed a bill where illegals can start businesses and be professionals here in the state of Tennessee. And again, we did pass a bill that's going to regulate the speech of 501c4 nonprofits if they mention the name, mention the name of one of these incumbents, one of these candidates for office. Look, I'm just going to close by saying this. I am probably as much as you are, because some of you may be tired of watching these videos. I'm so glad the session is over. God help us. At least the General Assembly can't do any more damage until 2023.